Hey everyone, today we'll be talking about the learning process. This is the next topic for the AFI ground instruction class. So let's get started. So let's talk about what is learning. Learning is basically a change in behavior of the learner as a result of experience. Let's talk about what an effective instructor is. So, an effective instructor is someone who understands the subject being taught, the learning process, and how learning is complex, how it is difficult, how the student will be able to learn, what all things the instructor needs to counter. And the instructor also helps and assists each student in reaching the outcome that is required and builds the student's self-esteem and confidence. So that is an effective instructor. What is the learning theory? Learning theory is basically principles thought of by educators and psychologists to explain how people acquire knowledge. Now this particular topic is somewhat vast, but it can be put short into many different subtopics, and it's more based on the human behavior, the psychology aspect of a student and an instructor. So there will be a lot of things that we'll just cover briefly to explain the main topics, and we'll just cover it from the top, and we'll just talk about it in brief. So what is perception? All learning that any student or instructor, anyone gets, is from the five senses that we have. So it's all about the perception, right? So the senses such as sight, sound, hearing, taste, and touch. Let's talk about the different types of practice. Once a student learns a skill, it is essential to continue practicing for retention, because as soon as you leave practice for anything, you will start forgetting that particular skill or topic that you have learned about. So it is very important to always keep practicing on any particular subject, whether it be ground topics or skills that you learn in the air. So it's always good to keep revising for good retention of that particular skill. Now there are different types of practice. So the first one we'll talk about is deliberate practice. Deliberate is basically the aim of deliberate practice is to perform the skill on an automatic level. Okay, how does a student do that? The student practices specific areas of improvement and receives feedback from the instructor specifically on those things that he or she has covered. So that is called deliberate practice. The next one is blocked practice, doing the same drill again and again till the movement becomes automatic. The third is random practice, so mixing up of different skills and different things in one particular exercise to help improve your skills. To in different practice sessions, you mix up many different maneuvers or many different skills to build your confidence and capabilities in them. To help students acquire skills, instructors should explain many different things, so I'll just point them out. So the first one is explain that continued practice is the key. The second, monitor student performance of skills and provide feedback. The third, avoid conversation and other distractions. So it's always important to make sure that you stay on point, on topic, try not to have a lot of distractions. Teach the student in the best manner possible so that they are focused, they learn whatever is being taught in the correct manner, and they are able to retain it. Important things to teach: one is multitasking, attention switching, distraction management, identifying fixation, scenario based training. It could happen in class or in flight. We'll also talk about short term memory and long term memory. So, short term memory lasts about 30 seconds, and long term memory lasts somewhere, it depends. So, short term memory lasts for 30 seconds, then that particular skill will either fade away or it will go into the long term memory. A long term memory is possibly a permanent stage of storage where that particular skill or concept could be there in that student for their entire lives to come. So if the continuous practice is there, that particular skill will be retained, that knowledge will be retained, and it will stay in the long term memory. Otherwise, in the long term memory also, as you gain more and more information, it's very much possible that you might lose out on the previous skills, and your previous knowledge might fade away slowly over time. But once you practice again, it will come back to you pretty fast. So the learning process is a short topic as such. we could go a lot into the theoretical part of it, the psychological aspect of it, but it's very big. And as instructors, we don't need to go into extreme depth of it, as you know, we are not becoming psychologists, but we need to understand what learning is all about, how the student will be learning, what affects their learning. So the important things to remember, just like the one some of the topics that we covered previously in the previous ground topics, is basically like how to overcome the student obstacles to learning, how to make sure that the student has a comfortable environment to have an effective learning, making sure that the instructor is giving out the best information possible in the best way possible so that it could be retained. And yeah, that's about it to the learning process.